on. So welcome everyone to Fayetteville Street Elementary School, Durham Public Schools in Durham, North Carolina. My name is Dr. Drizzle, and we're excited today to bring you a special guest that's going to tell us a little bit more about food and the science of food. More importantly, though, you're going to learn a lot today. Let me give you a few pieces of information. For those of you that are watching it in your schools, if you tweet out, we're going to ask you to use the hashtag DPS loves Alton. Okay? So DPS loves Alton. The school that tweets that out, we're going to put that into a drawing, and that school is going to win a day with Dr. Drizzle before the end of the school year. So make sure you're tweeting out. We are so glad you're here. I do want to give props real quickly to Mr. Jason Jowers and Ebony Hopkins and Sasha Crocker. They're the admin team here. Can we give them a big hand for all they're doing? So back in October, one of the teachers here at Fayetteville Street, his name is Scott Bronkema, he sent me an email and he said, please, 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 can you try to get this great chef here? And I said, okay, I'll try. He said, please do it for me, please. So I emailed out to Alton Brown, and his manager contacted me back and said, yes, we will come and do a show for you. Sure. So boys and girls, we are so excited for you to see Mr. Alton Brown, and that's all he wants me to say, Alton Brown. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Don't forget, Dr. Drizzle, you need to get in a suit like this because we're gonna do some volunteer stuff. Hey guys, my name's Alton Brown. You can call me Mr. Brown. I make TV shows about food, and I do a lot of science stuff with food. Today, does anybody like popcorn? Anybody? I love popcorn. When most of you have popcorn, you have it at home. You do microwave popcorn? Most of you guys? Yeah, microwave. We're going to do it just a little bit different way today because we're going to study popcorn and what makes popcorn pop. And I've got right here, this is a really bright light, it's a kind of bulb called halogen. It gets really, really hot. So I'm going to start this whole thing by just pouring some popcorn right on that light, like that. You probably wouldn't do that at home a lot. And I'm going to start my timer, and we're going to see how long it takes for some of that to pop. In the meantime, I want to ask you guys a question that I bet nobody's asked you before. What is a scientist? Can anybody answer that? Young lady right there, what's a scientist? That's pretty good. That's close. Anybody else want to take a guess at what a scientist is? How about you in the back, sir, right there? Yeah, you. What's a scientist?
I think a scientist is like a person who tries to build something or try to figure it out.
So, okay, I like this definition. Somebody who tries to build something or figure out something. Anybody in the back want to take a stab at? What do you think a scientist is? You in the blue shirt there. You. What's a scientist? Good. So everybody would agree that a scientist is somebody who does experiments? Would everybody be cool with that? Everybody does experiments? And somebody, I especially like this answer, somebody who tries to figure things out. Can we go with that? Okay. So one of the things is that a lot of people think that to be a scientist, you've got to have a lot of education, that you've got to go to college for 50 years, and you've got to have a lot of lab coats, and you've got to have a lot of, computers and stuff. I would say that's not true. I would say a scientist is anyone that is curious about the world around them and does something to figure out more about that world. That's all you got to do to be a scientist. I'm a scientist because I like to know how food works. That's my area of expertise that I'm really, really curious about. And I do experiments. Oh, we've already got popcorn starting to pop, so I better get going here. I do experiments, and you're going to see some of those experiments today. Now, part of being a scientist, guys, is looking at things in a different way. Now, we could say, well, we really love popcorn, and you know what? We just stick that bag in the microwave, and we push the button, and in a few minutes it comes out. But that doesn't really tell us a whole lot about why popcorn does what it does. And so I decided to put some on this really bright light today. This is not something that you would usually do, but if you take a look, you can see that this popcorn at 1.5 minutes after I put it on here is literally exploding. And some of these pieces are going to jump really high up in the sky. Now, have you ever seen food do this before? You ever seen like a hamburger jump like that? Have you ever seen a piece of pizza jump up like that? No, of course not, because the only thing that does that is popcorn. Popcorn is special. It evolved in a weird way, different from other corn. Has anybody ever had corn on the cob? I love corn on the cob, but what if you bit into it and it exploded in your mouth? That would really be bad because you'd go to the dentist a lot trying to put your teeth back in. So we're looking at it popping here, and now I want to show you, I recorded this yesterday at my hotel room. I want you to watch this in slow motion. Watch this. We're going to play this video and listen to what it sounds like when it pops. Check that out. That's the same thing that's happening over here right now. Awesome, huh? So it's like fireworks. Had anybody ever thought when they put a bag of microwave a bag of popcorn in the microwave that it was like fireworks going off? Yeah. You did? Well, I never did until I started doing this. But then when I saw this happening, I was like, I need to know why. I want to know why that's happening. And so that's where the science comes in, and that's why I think I'm going to call myself a scientist today. So I am going to try to build a model. A lot of what scientists do is to try to figure things out and explain things by making a model. And a model can be any kind of tool that you use to try to explain how something happens. And so what I want to try to do today, and I haven't done this before yesterday, so it may not work out, we'll see, is I want to build a model of what happens in a kernel of popcorn that would make it do what you guys just saw. Are you with me on this? Can we do this? Are we good? Okay. So, I need a volunteer. Ms. Drizzle, Dr. Drizzle. No, I'm going to use, this has to be an adult wearing one of these suits because things could get a little bit messy. Dr. Drizzle, you were wearing our lab suits. These are called Tyvek, and they're going to keep us clean just because science gets nasty sometimes, science gets dirty, and I don't exactly know everything that's going to happen. So what we're going to do is I need a base model for a kernel of popcorn. So I decided that I'm going to use a balloon. Because balloons, it's yellow. It looks kind of like a kernel of popcorn, don't you think? So the first thing I've got to do is I've got to make up the stuff that is inside a kernel of popcorn. Will you help me? All right. So popcorn is a very complex food. It's what we call a whole grain. Do I need to move something? Nope. Are we good? It's a whole grain. I'm gonna turn this off now because I think that's about popped all it's going to pop. There we go. All right, can everybody see this blender? Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the blender some of the things that are in popcorn. So one of the number popcorn is something called fiber. Anybody ever heard of fiber? Okay, I'll be really honest with you. Fiber is stuff that you eat that doesn't break down in your system that makes you be able to poop okay. Got it? Good. All right. So we've talked about that. So I got this really nice bunch of vegetables out of your garden. You guys have a fantastic garden here. Congratulations on that. I did not have that when I went to school. And I've got some kind of baby kale. This is some variety of kale. I'm not real sure. But what I'm going to do is kale is very high in fiber. So this is going to stand in my model for the fiber that is in the popcorn. Now, another thing that's in, come close, Mr. Drizzle. I need your help here. Can you hold out your hands, kind of cup your hands for me here? There is protein. and popcorn. Now, does anybody know what protein is? Ever heard of protein? Protein are the molecular nutrients that our body uses to rebuild itself. Okay, if you work out in a gym, you have to have protein to build muscles, and we get it from a lot of different places. We get it from meat, from certain vegetables, and in this case, our protein today is coming in the form of dehydrated crickets. Hey, hold those over there. No, hold those over. I want the kids to get a look at that. Hold that in front of the camera. Can you get over? There you go. There's some dehydrated crickets. These are, no, you don't like these? Oh, they're delicious. You want one? Go ahead, take one. Here you go. Dr. Drizzle's going to have one too. There you go. There's your cricket. Crickets are very low in fat, very high in protein. But I have to point out that these are supposed to be lizard food, but we ate them anyway. It's okay. Odds are it won't kill us. I used to have a leg stuck in my throat. All right, go ahead, Dr. Drizzle. You're going to add that. That is going to stand in for our protein. But the number one thing inside popcorn, the thing that makes it explode and be white and fluffy, is called starch. It's a carbohydrate. And carbohydrates can be found in lots of places. For instance, can anybody tell me what these are? These are packing chips. You get them in boxes, like when you order something on Amazon. And the interesting thing is that these particular, see if I can get in the camera shot, these particular packing chips are made out of cellulose, which is a kind of starch, which means they will break down in water. They're biodegradable, which is why I'll take care of this. Or just grab a few handfuls and stick in there. So that is going to be part of our model for the starch that we're using today. Just fill it all up to the top, ma'am. There you go. Fill it to the top. So we've got some kale in here, we got some crickets, and we've got some packing chips. And that's going to be our model for what's in popcorn. But in order for popcorn to explode, in order for it to be like fireworks, we have to have something inside of it that expands. And the thing that expands best, that is very common in our world, is water. Because when water turns to steam, when it gets hot, it expands to many, many, many times its original size. And that is what is going to allow our popcorn model to actually explode. So I'm going to add some water here. You agree with me so far, Dr. Drizzle? Are we good on the science front? I want to make sure that I'm not teaching anything wrong here. You want to wash your cricket down? Yes. Okay, there you go. I'm going to put on the, apparently Dr. Drizzle's not too big on the crickets. I'm going to turn on the mixer, and we're just going to, the blender, we're going to blend this up and do a kind of slurry, which is kind of like soup. Yeah, that looks fairly disgusting. Would everybody agree? I agree as well. Now, we are now going to get that. I got to figure out a way to get that inside my balloon, right? So, Dr. Drizzle, would you just hold this right here? I figured out that don't knock that balloon off. Hold it right here as well. I figured that I would use a piece of plastic tubing to try to get this down inside my balloon. So I'm just going to pour some of this kind of nasty goop down into that tube there. You see that going in? There you go. I can get that down in there. Well, I think we could maybe get a little bit more in there. It actually smells kind of good because of that kale. I love kale. Maybe it's the crickets. It could be the crickets. All right, just keep. Oh, yeah, I may have got a little too much in there. Uh-oh. All right, so here, so that doesn't spew out. Let's step over to the tarp. So here you go. Hold that in. Don't let that balloon come off. Okay, hold that balloon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow on this, get air pressure so I can blow up the balloon, but also to get all the nutrients into there. And I hope I don't suck instead of blow, because that'll be really bad for me. Yuck, right? Okay, so now, I got it, Dr. Drizzle, thank you very much. So now what I've got, though, is I've got a pretty good model of popcorn. I've got the water inside, I've got the starch inside, and I have a hard outer shell. Would you please hold that there for me, Dr. Drizzle? Yes. You got your safety glasses on, Dr. Drizzle? Yes. Oh, that's probably a good thing, given the nature of this experiment. So, the outer shell of the popcorn kernel is called a pericarp. Can everybody say pericarp? Pericarp. Excellent. You do that better than adults. And the cool thing about a pericarp is almost every fruit has one. And actually, a kernel of popcorn is a fruit. It has all the things in it that are needed to reproduce that plant. And that is essentially what a fruit is. Does anybody like apples? Okay, that's a fruit. It's got very similar parts to the popcorn. But the interesting thing about popcorn is that somewhere along the line, nature made this outer shell very, very, very hard, so that the inside water pressure as it builds when we heat it can reach 130 psi, which is a lot of pressure. That means pressure per square inch. And that happens when the water inside reaches a temperature of about 347 degrees, which could only happen if it were under pressure. Now, when we pop popcorn, whether it's with a... I'm just saying. I don't know what's going to happen, so I just want to say, whether we use a microwave, or you need to be right here in the middle of this chart, ma'am. We use a microwave, or we use a pot on a stove. What are we adding? What are we creating? Heat. We're making heat, right? Well, I have here a thing called a heat gun. It's like a blow dryer, only a lot hotter. So it is going to be our model for using either a microwave or a stovetop or some other heat source, okay? So if we've got our popcorn right here, right, and it's got all of the things in it that we need to make the popcorn, all we have to do is add enough heat and wait for the water inside to turn to steam. And that takes a little while, okay? And that's one of the reasons that it takes a little bit of time for popcorn to pop. But when it does, So every model has its issues. And in this case, when the starch exploded, we didn't have enough heat to set it in that big, fluffy, and delicious shape. Thank you, Dr. Drizzle, very much for helping out. So we made a mess. You've got to be willing, when you do science, you've got to be willing to make a mess, and you've got to be willing to plan on a mess, and you've got to be able to plan on safety, which is why no matter what, I always do science with a nice big fire extinguisher standing by, because you don't want to have any trouble. So, what did we learn? We learned that popcorn explodes, right? That every little kernel explodes. We learned that each one of those kernels is a fruit, right? We learned that it's got starch in it, it's got fiber in it, it's got protein in it, not crickets, actual protein, which we need. It's a very healthy snack, as long as you don't put a lot of stuff on it like butter, which, of course, is not that good for you. What else did we learn? We learned about anybody can be a scientist as long as you're curious and you do an experiment to find out more about the world around you. You do that, you're a scientist. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Now, does anybody have any questions? Anybody? You got a question, young man? How is it a fruit? Okay, how is popcorn a fruit? Because fruits have to have a few things in them. One, they have to have something that's called a germ. Not a germ like a ooh germ, but a germ which is a little packet of life. It's got basically a seed and a little nutritious package to fuel that seed, okay? And that is technically what a fruit really is, okay? You know how when you open up an orange, it has seeds on the inside of it? That's a fruit. Apples have seeds on the inside. It's a fruit. Well, this seed is essentially a fruit as well. So they all kind of fit. You got vegetables like kale, like leafy green things, like you guys grow in your garden. These are all vegetables because we eat the green parts. Those are vegetables. But fruits are basically anything with seeds. So sometimes it gets a little tricky. Okay, who likes strawberries? Okay, strawberries, are they a fruit? No, they're not. You know the little seeds on the outside of strawberries? Those are the fruits. So sometimes it can be botanically a little bit tricky. Do you have a question, young man? Oh, we got to turn that bad boy on. The other part of science is knowing your microphone's on. We'll wait. There you go.
Hi, my name is Sabian.
Hey.
Well, sorry.
Okay. He's going to think about it.
That's okay. Question asking is serious business. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jakira Ivy, and I am 10, and I am in Miss McCrae's 4th grade class.
Awesome.
Mr. Brown, what made you have the passion to cook?
My passion to cook came because I wanted to impress girls. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. I wanted girls to like me, so I learned how to cook. And it worked a little bit, but not a whole lot. What's your question?
Okay. I would like to know, what college did you go to?
I went to the University of Georgia, but my college degree was in theater. I had a theater major. And then later on, I went to a culinary school called New England Culinary Institute, way up in Vermont. And that's where I got my culinary degree. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Yulissa, and I'm in Mr. Harris' 5th grade class. What I like to do for fun is draw. How's your experience making food?
How was my experience? Pretty good. Or you mean like how much experience do I have, or go ahead.
Like what you'd like to do for fun when you're cooking?
Or what I like to do when I'm cooking? My favorite part of cooking is feeding people. I really, whenever you cook for people and you feed them and you make them happy, it makes you feel good. And I think that that's really important. That's the #1 job that cooks have, is to make people happy. Is that it? That's all for questions? Okay, I'm going to let Dr. Drizzle tell us what's going to happen next then.
All right, so first of all, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Brown for coming out today. And we're going to do a couple of things. If someone can go ahead and turn the lights on for me, let me talk to the ones that are watching at the other elementary schools right now. We are so glad that you joined us today. You will be getting a brochure from your teacher on Monday introducing this month's STEM Challenge. This month's STEM Challenge is for you to create a breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack food. I want you to tell me what the recipe would be, build a prototype, and then tell me how you could take that food to a third world country to feed kids that don't have any food. So that is your STEM challenge. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Make sure you're tweeting out to hashtag DPS loves Alton. And we're going to sign off with you guys. And we're saying goodbye to you. Thank you so much for coming.